Deciduous Woodland Biome, Sherwood Forest, by Asad,
Johan
and Sinead.
Deciduous is a Latin term which literally means falling off at maturity, and typically refers to trees and shrubs. The word is used to refer to the temperate biome found at latitudes of 40 to 60 degrees and negative 40 to 60 degrees. The term deciduous is a good way of describing the fact that trees in these woodlands are not evergreen, but rather lose their leaves seasonally. Deciduous forests are commonly found in the eastern half of North America, throughout most of Europe, including western Russia and southern Norway and Sweden, in Northeast Asia in parts of China and Japan. They are also found in the southern hemisphere at similar latitudes as in the northern hemisphere. For example, in the southern tip of Argentina and Chile, in South America, on the eastern coast of Australia and also in New Zealand. The similar latitudes shown by similar distances away from the equator suggests a correlation between the climate of the deciduous forests is characterized by average temperatures of 10 degrees Celsius, average rainfall of 75 to 150 centimeters per annum, cold and frosty winters, warm and humid summers, and a 6-month growing season. The climate graph reflects the fluctuations of temperature and precipitation for a typical deciduous forest in the northern hemisphere, for example in Sherwood Forest. It must be noted, however, that the trend of the climate graph for a forest in the southern hemisphere would reverse into a lithosphere is a plant succession that begins life on a newly exposed rock surface, such as one left bare as a result of glacial retreat. Bare rocky surfaces at the start of lithosphere are characterized by deficiency of water, absence of organic matter, volatile surface temperatures as they have a large range due to seasonal fluctuations, and low heat capacity of the bare rock. The first stage of the process is known as crustose or lichen stage. The lichen species, as a result of the accumulation of soil and humus over time, ideal conditions for the growth of mosses such as Polytrichum and Grania are provided. Over a period of time, collection of more soil and organic matter favor the growth of moisture-loving mosses like Hypnum. This leads us on to the herb stage. Death and decay of mosses produces a mat of organic moss on partially fragmented rock, which help the germination of seeds of hardy grasses like Eleusine. Some small animals also invade the habitat at this stage. Further weathering of rocks and death of herbs makes the habitat more suitable for the growth of shrubs like rhus and phytocarpus. Since the shrubs are larger in size and their roots penetrate more deeply in the rocky substratum, further weathering and soil formation is caused. Many light-demanding, stunted and hardy trees invade the area. Vegetation finally becomes mesophytic, i.e. being in, as well as being adapted to a moist environment. A steady state is reached between the environment and the biotic community, commonly known as a climatic climax. The type of climax community will logically depend upon the climate. In this case, a temperate deciduous forest is formed. As shown, a truly remarkable pictorial illustration of the seral progression of a lithosphere, a process that would take hundreds of years, from barren bare rock to the marvels of the deciduous forest. It reflects the transition over time from bare rock colonized by the lichen species, which build the foundations for the moss stage, then the temporary herb stage, followed by species of perennial herbs, the term perennial indicating the fact.
The dominant plant species in a deciduous woodland biome is the oak tree. Other trees that can grow just as tall include beech, sycamore, ash, and chestnut. This climax community have common features. They have broad, thin leaves to absorb the maximum amount of sunlight, whilst emitting the smallest amount of energy possible. The name deciduous refers to the tree's adaptation of losing their leaves each winter. This happens because the lack of sunlight during winter means no photosynthesis can take place. Shedding leaves prevents the loss of water through transpiration and stops the trees from becoming desiccated during the colder months. This food web illustrates the various food chains that are interconnected in a deciduous woodland biome. The ground layer of plants can be very diverse due to the vast amount of sunlight that penetrates the upper layers before the leaf canopy has fully developed in the springtime. These primary producers, also known as autotrophs, produce seeds and berries which feed birds and small rodents such as squirrels and mice, whilst leaves that fall in the autumn provide plenty of material for decomposers, soil bacteria, and worms. Other primary consumers or herbivores include deer, which graze on the shrubs, grasses, and leaves on the lower limbs of the trees. Birds can also be classified as secondary consumers or predators, as many eat insects as well as plants, such as woodpeckers who forage for insects within the trees. Other secondary consumers include toads, which eat insects, and owls, which eat rodents. Tertiary consumers, or the top predators, feed on deer and smaller animals and include foxes, cougars, and bears. All animals which do not make their own food are known as heterotrophs. As illustrated by the energy pyramid, the long growing season gives plants more time to produce food, generating a yield of about 6,000 kilocalories per square meter per year for animals to eat. Primary consumers only store about 1/10 of the energy made available to them, meaning only 600 kilocalories per square meter per year is kept in their bodies. Each increase in trophic level sees a subsequent loss of 9/10 of the energy available from the previous trophic levels. During winter months, many animals survive by hibernating, while some migrate south to milder temperatures. Others adapt to the cold by growing thick white fur to blend into the surroundings and keep warm.
The Gershwin's nutrient cycle shows the cyclical nature of how nutrients get transferred from biomass to litter to soil. The biomass is the largest store of nutrients due to the large quantity and diversity of flora and fauna, which is supported by the ideal climatic conditions which has allowed the deciduous forest to achieve climatic climax. The nutrient uptake by plants is large and the loss and fallout of dead tissue is small, which allows the biomass to be the largest store. The litter is the smallest store. The productivity in deciduous forests is high. It produces a large amount of organic matter for each square meter of area it covers. It is the second most productive biome behind the equatorial forest, and even though it produces half as much material as the equatorial forest.